Gosh, Ian, you make me emotional. You really do. Before I start, I want to say just a little something about Hartlepool, just to sort of get the juices flowing. I moved to Hartlepool about almost 4 years ago, so it was not a very long time. I spent most of my adult life in London. I then lived in Essex for a few years, and then I moved up to Hartlepool. When I moved to Hartlepool, it was as English as a cup of tea. Am I still allowed to say that? I think they've told us, BBC told us tea isn't English, didn't they? And I have, in that short time, watched it transform. It is no longer a completely English town. And it was as if, and I'm going to be really controversial here, so if you're sensitive, you might want to put something in your ears, because I'm not one for holding back. I am going to be really controversial here. All of a sudden, and overnight, people started appearing in Hartlepool that were not there before. People who are not us started appearing in Hartlepool. And Lauren will back me up, completely overnight. Now, let me ask you something. If this was a small town in an African country, and everybody in it was local, and they were all the same colour, and they were all native, and then overnight a load of white people started to appear, this would be notable to them. It would make them uncomfortable. It would make them wonder, what on earth is happening? Where have all these white people come from all of a sudden? The left, the political left, would sympathise with them. They'd say, I know, it must be really disconcerting for you to wake up one morning and find all these people who don't look like you, don't sound like you, don't speak your language, don't come from here, and suddenly they're everywhere. That would be really disconcerting for you. But if it's us, we are Nazis, fascists, racists, just even for noticing it. And you know what? I really don't care who calls me a racist, who calls me a fascist, who calls me a Nazi. I've had 20 years of it. I don't care. I'll tell you what I do care about. I care about the fact that there seems to be some new world order going on. The whole world is now supposed to melt into one. But that's actually not what's happening. This is what we're being told. It's a global world. The borders are opening. Everyone's going to move around and live together. We're going to open up the world. That's what they're telling us. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is our countries are being taken from us by strangers from the other side of the world. Just taken. There is no reciprocity here. We're not going out to other countries. They're coming to us. And we shouldn't just take it. We shouldn't just take it. And as a starting point on this, I want to mention something that is getting much worse, and part of me is almost glad it's getting much worse, and that is the anti-white hatred that is global. The language used to speak about white people on the global stage is pre-genocidal language. Now, we have to understand that. That's not an exaggeration. It's not me being a fascist. It's the truth. That is genocidal language being used to address us in our own countries and across the world. The globalist bodies, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, they intend to take our countries from us. And do you know why they intend to take our countries from us? Because we are, and here's another controversial bit, the most successful people ever in the history of this world. And that's why they have to take us down. You mentioned the Stephenson rocket and how the world changed from this little corner. This country is the greatest, most influential country in the history of our species, without any doubt. It must therefore be destroyed by the globalists. This is so obvious to me that I cannot believe everyone can't see it. They're deliberately destroying it. The steam engine came from here. If not for this country, we would still be farming for ourselves. Might not be a bad idea, actually. The Industrial Revolution started in a corner of northern England and completely changed the world. It modernised the world. We are successful, we are civilised, and we must remain civilised, but not too civilised that we sit back and do nothing while we are attacked and our countries, our homes, our safety, our freedom is taken from us. We cannot be so civilised that we do nothing. We have to fight. Our time now is to fight. It is. And let me just mention a couple of things. This isn't even my speech, by the way, just so you know. This is a bit grim, but I'm going to tell you. A video I wish I hadn't seen. A person who has probably just arrived here in the last few days. Hundreds and hundreds are coming every single day. Outside a tube station in London, took down his trousers and began defecating on the steps into the tube. That's what we've got. I remember when, in 2015, when this massive influx was coming into Europe, and 1 million or 2 is more like it, went into Germany. And I remember the Germans, poor little villages around Germany, and they're sending out letters to people, to these new, they were outnumbered in their own villages, overnight outnumbered. And they're having to send out these little letters, saying, please don't defecate in our gardens. Please stop hassling our daughters. Please stop going into shops and opening products and just stop, please. Please stop doing this. You know what happened? Local politicians and local press called them racists, told them that they were a revival of Nazism, can't say that to a German, and they were all crushed. The whole thing was crushed. This is what we're getting. I remember reading an article at the time saying these are people, we're importing people who don't even know what toilet paper is. The world is not the same. We are not all the same. This is the biggest lie our corrupt politicians are telling us. We are not all the same. We have a very specific, Europeans have a very specific way of doing things. We've built it over centuries. Do not throw it away. And do not throw it away because you're afraid of being called a name. This is not intended to you, but to the people watching. With regard to tonight is day one. It really is. I am not going to pay any attention to what has gone before. It's gone. It's over. I'm not going to drag the past around with me. Dragging the past around with you is like chaining yourself to a block and trying to pull it behind you. It's gone. We start today. We start again today. And Ian is right. I can walk in through the doors of Parliament. I really can. And I can promise you, if and when I do, I will tell them what I think. And I will tell them what millions of people think. I will stand up in the House of Commons and I will tell all 649 of them what a shower of useless traitors they are. I will tell them they have destroyed this country. And I want to get on, that's one of my 3 Ps. So I've got 3 Ps that I want to talk about. Philosophy, policy and practicalities. Let me start, actually, with the practicalities. Now, we've heard, Ian has said, we'll do things for this campaign that are not usually done in politics, 100%. First of all, just what I've just said to you is not usually done in politics. That's the first thing we're going to do. But we need to really hit the town hard. We need to be out there. We need to have, in practical terms, we need newspapers, we need buses, I need to go around Hartlepool on a great big bus with music playing, shouting. We need to make a great big fuss, and we will. We need to court the media. I know I've spent a long, long time saying how much I loathe the media, and I do. I really do think that the media is the evil core of what is happening to us. This would not be happening to us if not for the media. But I saw an interview with Donald Trump a few days ago, and in it he was asked, what will Donald Trump of 2024 do differently from Donald Trump of 2016? And his answer really interested me. He said, I want to be less combative. I don't want to be fighting all the time. I don't want to be in battles every single day. And he said, but I just can't help it because the press are just so dishonest. It just riles me so much because they're just incapable of telling the truth. But I got what he was saying. I don't want to be fighting with the media every day either. So I intend to court the media a little bit. Court them. I intend to be a little bit more pleasant to them, a little bit nicer to them. It'll kill me, nigh on, but I can do it. But we do need to be a little bit less combative, I think. I really do. I think with local media, I don't think they are wholly against us. I think we can, but we'll work on it. These are one of the practicalities. We have out on the street practicalities, big, noisy, making ourselves known, making our presence known, and courting the media, and we will do that. If and when, the reason I'm saying if and when, is because regardless of when it is, I'm going in. I don't care when it is. I really don't. I had for a while, I thought, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I don't know why. I don't know why I have to do it. I don't know. I can't put it into words. It's a feeling. It's in my heart. I just can't cope with watching one of the greatest country get swallowed up with this madness and this horror. I can't. So regardless of when it is, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And when I do, now they will try to ignore me. I know this. I can picture my first speech in the House of Commons. You know what they're going to do? They're going to get up and walk out. They will. They'll all walk out and protest. And I don't care because there's a camera there. And I'll speak to the camera. And it has to be on BBC Parliament, etc. But I'll tell you what we'll do. I will set up not social media because they can block me off that. We'll set up a massive internet community. And I will tell people absolutely everything that goes on. I will. I'll tell them everything. What goes on in that corrupt house, which was once the mother of all parliaments. And I know that it will catch on. I know that if I'm given a platform, and I have to make my own platform, but if I have a platform, I know I can take this country with me. Because I know how many millions are out there. They don't quite know. They can't quite articulate how they feel. They can't quite put into words, this is madness, this. But I better not say anything. And people are questioning themselves, thinking, I know this is madness, but I better not. I mean, am I allowed to say that? People are terrified. Just one person in the House of Commons who speaks to them, who tells them the truth about how the whole thing works, it will change things. It will. We will bring the country with us, I've got no doubt. The other two P's are policy and philosophy. So let me talk a little bit about philosophy first. What is it all about? What do we want? What do I want? What am I standing here for? What do I want for this country? And the answer is freedom. We are not living in a free country. And it has happened sort of almost like that the boiling frog? Little bits by bits. They do this deliberately, by the way. Bit by bit by bit by bit, they take away your freedom. We're living in madness and utter depravity. We're living in an upside-down lunacy. that if you question it, you're the problem. Example, one of the most horrific things I have seen in a very long time. Men breastfeeding babies and politicians saying, I'm proud to stand with men breastfeeding babies. If you say anything, you're the problem. We have descended into utter madness. We have an immigrant community that is raping, committing violence against us all the time. You don't hear a fraction of the attacks and the rapes that are committed against the British people. Not a fraction. It's happening every single day. And already in Hartlepool, things have started to unravel. We've already got, there was a girl raped not too far away. There were cars set on fire the other night. For some reason, several places went up in flames at the same time around Hartlepool. Just like that. Just like that, overnight. Overnight. And it's happening all over the country. And the madness is, and this is what people know, they know this is not right here, but they daren't say anything. The madness is if you dare to object, you become the problem. You are the one that will be punished. And you will be punished. People know. People know this is madness. We have taken our Western society for granted for a very, very, very long time. We thought no one could take it from us. We thought it was all set in stone. We thought, and people still do think somehow, that we can open the borders to all and sundry, hundreds of people every single day, millions upon millions of people living in this country now, from all over the world. And we thought that we could open the door to all these people and still have the same country. That's madness, and that's insanity. And we're going to have to face up and confront that insanity. There is only one freedom, but there are several opponents to freedom. Now, anyone who listens to me at all, knows what I think is going on here. A global communism is what's going on here. That is what's happening. And no one's talking about it. This is communism, completely. This turning everything upside down, turning the truth inside out, punishing people for what they say, punishing people for what they think. Communism, by very definition, gets rid of its dissenters. It punishes its dissenters. So if you dare to dissent or to veer from the politically correct nightmare that has been foisted upon us, you'll be punished. That's what communism does. In its very essence, that's what it is. And it encourages other people to punish you as well. I mean, the best example is the word racism. People shout the word racism just to shut you up. And if you are called a racist, that's your punishment. You can be unpersoned. I don't know when we decided that the punishment for, even if you are a racist, at this rate, I don't care. Even if you are a racist, when did we as a country decide that if you are a racist, your punishment is to be sacked from your job, have your bank account closed down, and you can even have your kids taken away, and you haven't actually committed a crime. You've just been accused of racism. This is how communism works. If you look at the Soviet Union, look at the beginnings of communism in China. That's how it works. It picks people, dissenters, unbelievers, and makes their life a living hell. That's what we're doing. It turns society inside out and upside down, and that's where we are. But communism is just another type of totalitarianism. There are several. There's Nazism, fascism, Islam, communism, but there's only one freedom. And that freedom is this. We live as we please, and the politicians do what we tell them to do. We will go where we want. We will drive where we want. We will have as many cars as we want. We will have as many houses as we can afford. We will live however we please, and the politicians dance to our tune and not the other way around. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now, what are we facing? What are we facing? Climate change, one of the greatest lies ever told, one of the greatest lies ever told, is going to take your car, it's going to take your freedom. It is a great, big, fat lie from start to finish. A lie. And you don't even have to be particularly astute or particularly observant or particularly immersed in politics or this sort of anti-climate change activism, any of it. Eyes in your head, you can see this is a lie. Back in the 80s when I was a kid, it was, do you remember the ozone layer? That's what it was then. And they used to tell us, we were terrified. You were terrified even buying deodorant or a bit of body spray. Do you remember that? Yes. It was the ozone layer. It was a hole in the ozone layer, and if you put on a bit of body spray in the morning, you're going to kill the planet. That's what they were telling us then. And they were telling us we only had a few years left then. Then they changed it. It became, what did it become? That's another one. We had global warming. I think we're going back to global warming now.
The ice was melting, the polar bears are dying.
Polar bears have actually grown in number. Did you know that? There are more polar bears now than there were 10 years ago. It's a spectacular, spectacular lie. But they've been carrying this lie on for years. Do you know why they're using climate change? First of all, to baffle you at science. They did this with COVID as well. And everyone knows that COVID was a lie. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't a virus. I'm saying it was a flu, and they packaged that flu. In the beginning of 2020, they always pick specific times to do these things. So 2000, a lot of things changed in 2000. I think they started to roll the shutters down in 2000. That's when things became really politically correct and people became afraid to speak. And you had the school system changing and the activist teachers started putting all this stuff into children's heads. That all started in 2000. These things do start at a very specific date. And in 2020, that's what we got. The start of a repackaged flu to take our freedom and to test us and see how much we would put up with. Turns out a lot. And they did it with a virus for this, and the same thing with climate change. They want to baffle you with science. They want it to be so that you don't understand. So they'll use scientific words that only people in the trade and in that field understand. They'll use all that. And then they'll tell you and me, the little people, that they intend to manoeuvre around like pieces on a chessboard. They'll tell you, you don't understand, leave it to us. Leave it to the experts. We'll sort it out for you. But we have eyes, we have brains. Do you know what they are using instead of coal now? Wood. This is where they intend to get the energy from. So let me just give you a couple of examples. These wind farm things, right? They will have us believe that this is really complex. And you, the little people, you don't understand it. Leave the science to us. We know. You trust us. These wind things, they don't work unless it's windy. Did you even know that? Do you think people know that? I don't think they do. I really don't think they do. I don't think it's sort of dawned that those things, they're wind generators. They generate energy from wind. But they don't have to be, it doesn't have to be windy to work. Yes, it does. That's the whole point. So what happens when it's not windy? Well, I don't know. Well, you get the electricity from the same place you got it from before. All these things are backed up by fossil fuels. All of it. This, the word escapes me. This is what happens when I never stick to the speech that I've written. Never Never. Biomass. That's the word. Do you know what biomass is? Chopped up little bits of wood. That's what biomass is. They cut down trees, chop them up into little bits of wood, and call it biomass. That's what it is. It is the greatest lie, one of the greatest lies ever told. These wind farmy things, do you know there's no plan of what to do with them when they stop working? They'll go to landfill. There's no disposal plans for them whatsoever. They don't work most of the time. They're burning wood, telling us this is environmental. The process of turning trees into wood and then burning the wood to create energy generates more carbon dioxide than coal does, but they're not telling you that. And on that point, since when is carbon dioxide a poison of some sort? It's the source of plant life, which is the source of life. This is astonishing that they are getting away with this. Absolutely astonishing. But they are going to take your cars, they're going to take your holidays. We will get to a position, believe me, this is where we're going. You can't go on holiday this year, you went on holiday last year. That's where we're going. You're going to be allotted one holiday every 5 years. You can have a car, but only if you queue up for the one electricity charger in your town. You can have a little journey every so often. They're very good. They're very nice. I mean, they'll let us leave our town every so often, but we'll have to queue up to stick electricity into our car. You'll need a permit to leave your town. That's already happening. 15-minute cities. We're all familiar with 15-minute cities. Another great big lie. The reporters are insanely ignorant and stupid in this country, insanely. They go around asking people, oh, what do you think of 15 minutes? I've watched them. Stopping people on the road and saying, what do you think of 15-minute cities? And people are like, I think it's a really good idea. You know, we'll have everything within a short walk. That's great. I'm happy to have a doctor's, I mean, I won't be able to get an appointment, but it's there.
You've already got it.
15 minutes, so everyone is told, this will be great, you'll have everything you need within 15 minutes. What they're not told is you won't be able to leave that 15 minutes limit from your house. You won't. And if on the off chance, you'll probably be allotted a certain number a year. You can go beyond 15 minutes from your house a few times a year, and you will have to apply to your local council for permission to leave your town. Think about your local council for a minute. Just think about it. Are we talking about geniuses here? Are we talking about the cream of society's crop? We are talking, on the whole, and I mean no disrespect, well I do actually mean a lot of disrespect, we are talking about clipboard warriors and bureaucratic busybodies, and you will have to go cap in hand to this moronic busybody and ask permission to leave your town. That is what is happening. And the madness is so intense, and so it's in the DNA of it. BBC did something about this. They went, was it Oxford? Oxford was the scene. They're doing a 15-minute city in Oxford, and there were protests. And the BBC went along and asked people at the protest, so what's your problem? What's the matter? What, you mean you don't want to have everything within 15 minutes? And at the end of it, she'd spoken to these people. This reporter had spoken to these people, and at the end of it, she said, they have some weird idea that they're going to be imprisoned within this 15 minutes. They have this weird idea that if they go out of the 15 minutes, they're going to get fined or something. And then literally in the next sentence, she's saying, now to be fair, the local government have passed a law where if you drive down this road, you'll get a fine. So she's literally contradicted herself in a few sentences. And I'm sitting there just wanting to pull my hair out, thinking, how did we get here? How? Genuinely, how did we get here? We want our freedom back. That's what we want. That's the point. That's what we're doing here. We want I refuse to go to some busybody in my local council and ask permission to do it. And I won't get it. Most people in my local council know exactly who I am. I won't be getting permission for anything. I'll be imprisoned. Me and my dogs in my house. I'll barely be allowed to go for a walk. Thank God I have my dogs. I refuse to live like that. I absolutely refuse. Climate change is the weapon, the tool, the method, the latest method of taking our freedom, because it's a global issue that requires a global response. They love that phrase. Same with COVID. Blind you with science, you don't understand this, leave it to us. It's a global issue, it needs a global response. And wouldn't you know, who's there to give that global response? WEF, UN, WHO. Who on earth is Klaus Schwab when he's at home? Where did he come from all of a sudden? I saw his daughter saying, climate lockdowns are coming, whether you like it or not. I had to look it up to make sure it was real. I saw a meme. Klaus Schwab's daughter says we're getting, and I thought, hold on, I'm going to have to double check that. So I did a bit of Googling, and I found a clip of her saying it. And I thought, who the hell is she? Where did she come from? Who is she to stand on a world stage and say, whether you like it or not, I am imprisoning you in your house? You know what? No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you are not. I am not going out like that. I'm telling you that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Hello, baby. I think we need to understand how we got here. This all began after the Second World War. We blamed, when the Second World War ended, everything was skewed, everything was turned on its head. We blamed all the wrong things. Now, the Second World War was horrific, the bloodiest war we'd had. And it is right that after 6 years of utter depravity, that the world should stand back and say, hold on a minute. What happened there? What did we do? How did that happen? And the blame was placed firmly on the wrong thing. The blame was placed on nation states, and the blame was placed on democracy. Now, I'm with a certain Prime Minister on this, who said, World War II was not caused by nation states, it was caused by appeasement to tyranny. That is exactly what caused World War II. Hitler was appeased and appeased and appeased. He was allowed to get away. He should have been taken out much, much sooner. He should have been taken out when he was on his way up, but they appeased. They had a policy of appeasement. That's what started and prolonged World War II, was appeasing him. Afterwards, the globalist body started to take shape. The United Nations was born. Even the European Union was born, although it wasn't called that for some time. If we get rid of nation states, was the thinking, this won't happen again. If we get rid of European nation states, this won't happen again. And if we get rid of democracy, this won't happen again. Because the German people voted for Hitler. And that was the problem. And they believed that that was the problem. So democracy had to go. And we have seen every effort since to get rid of democracy. And we have seen how much the globalists, the left, and those who lead us hate democracy. Look what happened with Brexit. They were furious. How dare the riffraff have a say in the future of this country? Democracy to the elite, to the powerful, to the power-hungry psychopaths who think they run this world is something they need to defeat and get around, because it produces the wrong results. It produced Donald Trump. the only world leader in the West who was willing to stand up to them. They had to get rid of him. They had to get rid of him. That's where it started, and it is continuing. The reason you're not allowed to speak, the reason you have hate speech laws, the reason you have this social contagion of terror, people petrified to speak their minds, is because your freedom of speech had to go first. If you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have any democracy. So freedom of speech had to go. And that's where the racism charge comes from. It is meant to silence us. It is meant to make us sit and watch helplessly while this country is invaded by hundreds of foreigners every day who mean us harm. Many of them mean us harm, and even the ones who don't mean us harm are transforming this country beyond all recognition. It is no longer Britain. It no longer belongs to the British. How are we taking this? Genuinely, it baffled me. It baffles and amazes me how we're taking this. And not just of the British, the whole of Europe, the whole of the Western world. Just taking it. There has to be a turning point. There has to be a turning point when you turn back and say, to hell with this. We're not taking this. I want today for us in this room to be that turning point. I want to tell you also that you can trust me. I want you to support me. I want you to help me in every way you can. But I have to give you something in return for that. I promise you I will fight for you. I promise you. I promise you I am who I say I am. I promise you I'm not going to backtrack or backpedal or back down, ever. I promise you that. That's our philosophy. We are not going to bow down to any totalitarianism. We want our freedom back. We want our democracy back. We want politicians who care what they do to us, because we will take them out if they don't. We want a press that actually works. We want a press that tells the truth. We want our freedom. In terms of our policy, I'm going to focus on 3 major issues for this. Your kids, your country, and your pocket. That's where I'm focusing. That's what on terms of policy. We are spending millions and millions and millions a day housing strangers from all over the world, while British people are lying in the street with nothing, while British people are living in uninhabitable accommodations, and there is nothing for them. Nothing. Don't take it. Do not take it. People have to really hear and understand this. There are billions of pounds available for Ukraine. I don't care. I really don't. In the beginning, I kind of did. I thought, oh, this is quite I don't care. I am sick and tired of that little worm, Rishi Sunak, standing and for thinking he's the big I am, is so out of his depth. He is so out of his depth. He's a total puppet. He is a puppet. And I think it's shocking. I am not a cheerleader for Liz Truss, believe me, but I'll tell you what I think is shocking, is that the Tory party voted for Liz Truss. She came out with a conservative economic policy, the first conservative economic policy since Margaret Thatcher. And they may as well have put in a revolving door. She was gone. And she was gone because she had a conservative economic package which would have transformed the financial fortunes of this country. It would have. But that's not the idea. Because the globalists have decided to take us out. And one of the things they're going to do to us is make us very, very poor. So they're going to take our money and they're going to give it to dictators in Africa. They're going to give it to Zelensky in Ukraine. And nothing will be available for the poorest of the poor in Great Britain. Nothing. Do not take that. Do not take that. Another thing, this climate change thing again. Do you know how much money is added onto our bills for this? And it's all a lie. It's a lie. Taking money from you on your electricity bill, I think it's some ridiculous, like a third of your electricity bill, is green nonsense. People need to know this. They need to know that it's a lie. They need to know that their money is being taken from them and their children and handed away to people who don't give a damn about them. Handed away by people who don't give a damn about them. The politicians in Westminster do not care about the British people. They don't care. And they don't care because our democracy is dead in the water. The press plays the game, and even when someone does get through with a Conservative policy, she's gone and replaced by little Mr. Puppet Man, who does exactly what he is told. These are our leaders. These are our leaders. I mean, come on. Come on. Look, we once had Winston Churchill standing at Margaret Thatcher standing at the dispatch box in the House of Commons. Now we have Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. For crying out loud. What happened to the calibre of the House of Commons, the mother of all parliaments? What happened? For God's sake, we'd have Labour MPs with ankle bracelets, and it's insane how much the calibre has dropped. But that's not an accident either. Do you think if we had 650 intelligent, principled, brave MPs in Parliament, do you think any of this would be happening? They fill it with idiots for a reason, because those idiots can be controlled. They are told what to say, and they are given a script, and that's it, and they don't care. And they don't care because they get a nice salary out of the House of Commons, and they get a lot of perks. It's a very high status thing to be an MP. Lots of ego stroking. They love it, and they're not held to account. And they're not held to account for two reasons. One is the press, and the other, sadly, quite frankly, is the people. They're not awake. They're not awake. We've got to tell them. And we're going to tell them three things. Your pocket is being raided to give to strangers by your government. Don't allow it. Don't allow it. And they are taking and destroying your children. If your pocket, your country and your kids don't count, I don't know what to say about it. I don't know, but that's where I'm focusing. That's those three things. Let's talk about kids for a minute. I don't have any kids, and I'll tell you what, I sometimes wonder, and I've thought this many times over the years, I think I care more about other people's children than they do. I really do. I'm baffled by it. Baffled. How can you not care that your children go to school and are so confused by 75 genders, and particularly white British kids, what's left of them, are told every single day, you're a racist, you're evil, you're wrong, you don't deserve it, you deserve to lose your country. Look at you, you're a racist, a colonial, a coloniser. You deserve to lose your country. When you get down to the nitty-gritty of this with these pro-immigration, refugees welcome people, when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it always comes down to one thing. Hatred of us and revenge. It's always about revenge. Well, if you get to, this is how the conversation will go. They're not refugees. People say, oh, you've got to let them come in because they're running for the... No, they're not. No. Who are they running from? Where are they from? Who are they? They're not refugees. Refugees, there's a meaning to the word refugee. You can't just call something a refugee and it becomes a refugee because you call it one. It has to actually be one. And they're not. At all. So that's where your conversation will start. You say, right, well, you have to let them in because they're refugees. And then you'll get past, no, they're not refugees. This is nonsense. These people are just not refugees. Fact, not refugees. And then it'll come on to, but this is a very open world, and we're all the same, and we're all equal, and it's diverse and it's interesting and we've got nice restaurants and nice food. And so basically this la la land nonsense. You get past that. Why? You will get to a point where you say to them, right, why? Why would you ask, let's take it, Indonesia. Would you ask Indonesian people to give up their country to strangers from all over the world? No? Okay. They'll always say no. No, why would that's... So why should the British? But the British colonised the world. Okay, so did the Turks. Lots of empires over the years. Why just the British? Well, we did terrible things to the world. It always comes back to that. Always comes back to revenge. By the most self-hating, and actually, the problem is self-hating white lefties. They are the biggest problem. They are absolutely destroying us. Now, my feeling is 90% of the country hasn't got a clue what's going on. I'm not, and I go back to what I said about I don't want to be combative, I don't. I'm not going to make an enemy out of those 90%. I want to take them with me. But what I will not do is bow down to the 5% who is blinding that 90%. So for the 90%, they are our friends. We feel no ill feeling towards them. We speak to them. We educate them. We converse with them. They learn. We bring them with us. The lefties, the ones who are doing this, the leaders, the communists at the top of this, they are not our friends. You fight them. You take the ones you can and you fight the others. And you don't back down, you don't sympathise, you don't have mercy. You fight. You fight like hell, or you have nothing left. Our kids are going to school and being taught that they are devils. They are taught that they are evil, that their country is evil, that their identity is evil, that their parents are evil, that everything they care about and love is wrong and awful, and everything they have is a hangover from colonialism. Stolen. Everything white people have is stolen. That's what kids are taught. That on top of the 75 genders, that on top of the paedophilia, and it is paedophilia, that is being normalised in schools. I have seen examples of children being sent home from school. I'm not even going to say, because this is going out on YouTube, and there are words I don't even want to say. But they are told to, there was a case in Australia, for example, and it's the same here, isn't it? But this is the one that springs to mind. And these children were sent home to ask their fathers about the mechanics of their genitals. So, erections and ejaculation. They're there to ask their fathers about this and write about this. These are young children. And the same thing is happening here. It absolutely is. Children are being taught about, young children, about anal sex, about, I don't care, do what you want. But you do not do this to children. You do not do this to children. They must be so confused. They must be so confused. I'm so glad I'm not a child now. Can you imagine it? We will never go back to the innocence of the 80s. The internet has taken care of that. We will never go back to the innocence of the 80s. But there's no point in deliberately piling it on either in schools. You'll be shocked to know I was a tomboy as a child. And I'm telling you, if I was a child now, as I was then, they would tell me I was a boy. They would. They would. And actually, if you are malleable enough, if you are shapeable enough, they are cutting off the healthy breasts of young girls and celebrating it. They are mutilating children. How bad does it have to get? They're mutilating children. They're castrating boys and cutting off the breasts of girls and celebrating it. Where are we? How did we get here? It's beyond evil. I don't even have a word. I don't even have a word for this. And if they're not having their breasts or their testicles put off, they've been gang raped. And nobody does a bloody damn thing about that either. Kids going missing from school. Groups of men pulling up in cars, taking girls away from school, and no one says a word about it. What happened? What happened? Can you be anything like a functioning society when you don't protect your own children from rape and mutilation and chemical experimentation? They're filling kids full of puberty blockers. These things, do you know there's a drug called Lupron? Lupron has for years been used to castrate sex offenders. They're now giving it to children to block their puberty. And they're experimenting on these children because there's a little bit of a U-turn happening. There was a time when even on the NHS website they used to say matter-of-factly that puberty blockers are reversible, they do no damage whatsoever, and it won't. If the child decides they're not the other gender, we can just stop it. No, we can start. It's fine. It's fine. They said this for years. Now you go on the NHS website and it says, well, we're not actually sure whether that's the case or not. So some European countries, including us, are starting to turn a little bit and say, oh, what did we do there? But they're still, even if that's happening, they're still giving these things to kids. Confused, no self-esteem, no pride in themselves, no pride in their heritage, their ethnicity, their country, even though they are from the greatest countries that ever existed on this earth. They have everything to be proud of. If I was Prime Minister of this country, let me tell you what children would be learning in school. That they are bright, capable, people who can do what they wish in their free country, and that they are standing on the shoulders of giants. This country has contributed so much. Children in schools in my Britain would be confident, as innocent as we can have them. They would be proud of their ethnicity, proud of their country, proud of their flag, which, by the way, would fly outside every school if I was in charge of this country. Proud of their flag, proud of their history, and proud of themselves. They would be strong, respectful, disciplined children who would grow up to be responsible, contributing, confident, healthy individuals. That's what we would do. That's what we would do. And individuals. Have you noticed how we're all communities now? Categorisation is another mark of totalitarianism and tyranny, herding us into little groups. I think that's where all the 75 genders come from. That's what that is. It's herding us into categorising you. You don't have rights. You, the individual, you don't have rights. Your community has rights. And if you veer away from your community, then you are unpersoned and you're out. This is all very, very deliberate. We will return the individual to power, because that's a healthy, free society. We talk about minority rights. The ultimate minority is the individual. And we will fight for the individual, for individual rights. Proud people, again, not herds of cattle that we move around, but individual, powerful, strong people. That's what we want. That's the society that we want. Country. Oh dear. I don't think people quite understand what they are losing when they lose their country. I don't think they grasp it. I don't think they get it. This country has stood for some of the greatest and facilitated and achieved some of the greatest achievements of humanity, this little island. And it's being thrown away. That makes me, I cannot tell you how sad that makes me. But we have to fight for this country. But we also have to fight, and I'm going to be controversial again. Someone has to say, by the way, I didn't start this. I did not start this, I'm responding to this. 10 years ago, I would have never said a word about race. I mean, it didn't really occur. It was all about religion and culture to me back then. That has changed. And I'll tell you why that has changed. Because my race is under attack. And I'm fighting back. And we have this new global order now. And everyone seems to be represented. I'm going to step up here with your support and your backing, and I'll go into these new world order negotiations for white people because nobody is speaking for us in this new world order. I'm going to. I'm sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. These are our countries. Europe belongs to us. Now, people may come in small numbers and enjoy the rich culture of this continent. If they understand that this is ours. You are a guest here, this belongs to us, you will adhere to our culture, you will adhere to our laws, you will respect the majority in this country, and you will, if you dare, you don't, let me just put it this way, you don't get to come here and attack the British people. You do not get to come here and insult British culture. You do not get to come here and usurp our laws as if they're nothing. You do not get to come here and hide weapons all over the country intending to attack us. You don't get to do that. We are not going to take it. Not take it. We cannot take it. Let me tell you what I would do if I was Prime Minister of this country tomorrow. If only. If only. You know these hotels? They would be locked. I would lock the doors on all of them straight away. First thing I do. I would build several prisons, and I would move every single person who was in a hotel now into a prison. And I will say to them, you either tell me where to be flown back to, or you stay in prison. There will be flights going out of Heathrow or wherever every single day, bringing people home. I don't care what happens to them. It's not my problem. You do not come here and start attacking us and expect to stay. You do not come here and take our money when our people are starving and living in the most appalling... People in this country are living in the most appalling conditions. And nothing. It's not happening anymore. We can't allow it anymore. Every single person who has come into this country illegally will be deported. There will be planes going out over and over and over again, and I don't care. I don't care what the UN has to say about it. I don't care what the World Health Organization or the WEF or any of the lefty shills in leading Western countries, I don't care what they say. This is Britain, and we do what's in Britain's interest. We will kick these people out. Kick them out. Anyone who commits a crime, I don't care whether you're safe or not back in your own country. Not my problem. I'm sorry, I really don't care. We let all sorts of people, even people we know are criminals, dangerous criminals, rapists, murderers, terrorists. We allow them to stay here because it would be unsafe for them to send them back to their home country. So let me ask you something. When a judge says, I won't send you back because it's not safe for you, what's happening there? They are prioritising his safety over yours in your own country. Absolutely not. You go. If it's unsafe for you, not my problem. I really don't care. We're not here to save the world, we're here to save Britain. We are here to save Britain. I would completely clear out the police. I don't mean every officer, I mean whoever's in charge of the police in this country is gone. I go into Downing Street on Monday, on Tuesday the planes start going out and the police chiefs are gone. I don't care about their pensions, I don't care. All of them. Out. Out. It is a disgrace what has happened in this country in the last couple of decades. A disgrace. And even in the wake of Rotherham, not a single one of them had any punishment. There was no account. Nothing happened to any of them. And I'm telling you now as well, some of those police, not just in Rotherham is just a symbol for this particular horror. The police were involved in this. The police were raping those girls themselves. There's not a doubt in my mind. There's no accountability. No one's going to do anything. Look at this. Look at the riffraff they're allowing in the police. Look at that man that murdered that woman in London, Sarah Everard. A few days before he murdered her, he was exposing himself in McDonald's. And nothing. What's wrong with us? But this depravity. And we're just allowing it. Every police chief in this country is gone. On Tuesday, gone. Gone. Absolutely gone. The border force, I don't know who runs the border force, but whoever they are, they're going to jail. To jail. Because it is the job of the border force to keep illegal immigrants out of Britain. They are even going into French waters to pick up illegal immigrants. People can't believe this, you know. You say to people, you know, sane people. I've spoken to people, particularly from America, and I don't know whether, I mean, America's just as bad now, but you say to them, well, the border force actually goes out and brings immigrants in. Hey, what? But what? It's too much. It's too much. They have to go. Whoever that is going to jail. Going to jail. And we will. And do you remember that the last person who led the border force, on his resignation, he gave a speech, and in that speech he said he didn't believe in borders. You had someone leading the border force who doesn't believe in borders. That stops instantly. That happens on Tuesday as well. Something else that happens on Tuesday is the Royal Navy goes into the English Channel. A Royal Navy led by patriots who will do their job and not led by left-wingers who hate this country. The Royal Navy will be in the English Channel on Tuesday, stopping these boats, and I, again, don't care what happens to them. I don't care. We are not the world's dumping ground. No more boats come over, and everyone who is here goes, and I'm unconcerned where they go. Also on Tuesday, the National Union of Teachers gets the biggest kicking of its life from me. These are not just left-wing activists, these are extreme left-wing activists. They are the ones teaching your children the madness that they are learning. They go. I don't care. Again, I am so unconcerned about the fallout. I am so unconcerned about the backlash. Because people will throw their toys out of the pram and they'll try and take... Come on, let's have it. Let's have it. I'm ready. Let's hear it. Let's have it. I'm ready. I'm so unconcerned. And because all it'll take is a bit of guts. Literally all it will take, because they are all bullies and cowards. And all it will take is some guts. And they'll threaten and threaten and threaten, and you just keep going. Don't hear you, can't hear you, don't care. This is where they're going. And all this is just noise. I'm going here. I'm so unconcerned. These teachers who are destroying these children's minds go. They go. We train an entire new generation of teachers. And if they decide to go in to the classroom and push left-wing nonsense onto children, guess what happens? They're sacked. And we replace them with someone who won't do that. This is all really simple stuff. We wipe the top of the civil service clean as well. We will replace all of the key officers in this country. We will replace who is in them now, because they are full of anti-British ideologues. We replace them with British patriots who are brave, who are principled, and who will act in the interests of this country. We replace them all with strong British people. That's what we do. That's what we do. We shall finish with a couple of little notes. I am so angry is a word. I managed to contain it. I managed to generate it in a way that is helpful. I know that in this room many of us are angry. Many of us are bewildered. Many of us are frightened for the future. Many of us don't know where on earth we are going. We have an idea, and it's like the movies, isn't it? Whenever you see a film set in the future, it's never a positive image. It's always dystopian, always. We're always slaves. Digital slaves is the road we're going down. People are frightened. I promise you, if you back me, support me, to get into the House of Commons, and it can be done. It can be done. That's you know what? That's half the battle, is believing it. Genuinely believing it. And when I go into this election proper, I'm not going to pay any attention to the noise around me. I don't care what Richard Tice is standing in Hartlepool as well, by the way. I don't care what he's doing. I don't care what Labour are doing. I don't care what the Tories are doing. I care about us. I care about what we're doing. I'm going to focus on what we're doing. This can be done. It can. Just look how much everything changes and how quickly. Why can't it change in a positive direction for us? Because I'll tell you what, we're due a change in a positive direction. We are due. But I promise you, if you help me get into the House of Commons, I will turn it upside down. I will run amok, and I will hold them to account, and I will bring genuine passion and love and commitment to this country, back to the mother of all parliaments. I will bring it there, and I will bring the country with me. We will bring the country with us. We will give them hope that it's not all is lost. There is still a fight. It's still in there. The British are the most unique people, and it's still in there. The British are a little bit bowing now, a little bit. The heads are down a little bit. We'll get those heads back up again. We can. We just need that one spark. That one spark will light the flame of the British again. I will be that spark if you let me, if you help me. I promise you. I will not let you down. I will not back down. I will bring genuine love of Britain and the British people into the House of Commons again. Thank you very much for coming.